Tuesday is my favorite day of the week. Feel like I've got a running start. Everything's going to be great. Got some scattered applause for people terrified of being fired. Happy Tuesday, everyone. You know it's happy when Julie Banderas made it here in one piece. And so far, Child Protective Services hasn't called. So how do you...
my ankle bracelet off.
Oh, you
they
know
couldn't
what?
track me.
Keep it to yourself.
Okay.
So how do you know when something is real? Like as real as my blue eyes, or Tyrus's tattoos, or Julie's wine consumption. You know when something is real when the statistics match the stories, when you have mind-boggling increases in crime from carjackings to murder to hate crimes, which are then coupled with absolutely horrible stories that make the statistics come alive. I've been on this planet for maybe 50 years after immigrating from California, and I've never seen anything like this. I know crime victims, and I'm not just talking about people who bought Kilmeade's last book. Now, we've covered the stats and the stories until we were blue in the face, so how could anyone deny them? Well, it turns out it's really easy if you have help. We've been mapping this gleeful denial since it started, and it began where all lies begin, with CNN.
Yeah, Democratic cities are in chaos right now. Is this what you want from Joe Biden? And they're going to take your country away, and they're taking down the statues. And
crime is rising as they defund police.
Oh, my gosh, it's so bad. And they get defunding police. It's like...
Yeah. Shouldn't Don Lemon retract his eye-rolling, since everything he just eye-rolled happened? But if you listen to conservative media, well...
You listen to conservative media, you would think that, you know, entire cities are just, you know, embroiled in fights and fires and whatever. We went out and had a great dinner in New York City tonight. People actually walked up to us and said, thank you for, I watch you every night.
What a lie. The only people watching Don Lemon every night are in Gitmo. It's how they get them to talk. No one watches Don Lemon by choice. Now, we played that clip a lot, not just for entertainment value, but because we knew where this was going. It was the beginning of the cover your ass, not cover the news strategy. For they knew they were responsible for the anti-police, pro-crime environment. This was the denial stage. But then when they saw crime could hurt them politically, they changed their tune.
I think this is a blind spot for Democrats. I think Democrats are ignoring this problem or hoping that it will go away. And it's not going to go away. Joe Biden may be afraid to do it. I'm not sure. Maybe he won't. Maybe he is. He's got to address it. The rioting has to stop. Chris, as you know and I know, it's showing up in the polling. It's showing up in focus groups. It is the only thing right now that is sticking.
It's showing up in the polls. Well, there goes your great dinner in NYC. I guess politics affects your appetite, not human suffering. But that was just the tip of the scumberg. As all the data came out on crime, we continued to cover it because we cared about our viewers. And so CNN attacked the messenger because they found themselves on the wrong side.
Some examples of the banners on Fox News in the past few days, you get the sense that America's gone to hell, declining quality of life. America is an apocalyptic hellscape. And yes, there is a crime problem. Yeah. But the way it's described on Fox, you'd be afraid to leave your house.
I kind of think of it as a Instagram filter, Brian. You know, you start with a real image, and then you take the filter and you pump it up 1,000%. And what you're left with is distorted. It no longer reflects reality.
Instagram filter, that's going to stay with me. That's the perfect way to describe it.
Oh, man, I wonder if it's an Instagram filter that's responsible for tripling his chins. So people are dying. But it's Fox headlines calling attention to the deaths that really irk these ghouls. The truth we report is kryptonite to their false narrative. And of course, now you see Peppermint Patty dismissing crime because, well, she hates the messenger too.
On Fox is Jeanine Pirro talking about soft on crime consequences. I mean, what does that even mean, right? So there's an alternate universe on some coverage. What's scary about it is a lot of people watch that.
Yeah, well, no. What's scary about it is you and your boss and all the folks who work for him are living in that alternate universe. And the victims that you insult, they live somewhere else. Of course, she asks, what does that even mean? As if crime stats come out in Latin. Maybe we can get an expert to answer her.
The system continues to fail us.
We are not safe anymore. Not even the members of the service. I know you were tired of these laws, especially the ones from the new DA.
Maybe that'll jog Jen's memory. Fact is, people are dying all over from violent crime, and Jen dismisses it because it didn't affect her Pilates class. Imagine doing that with victims of police brutality or COVID. Apparently, it's okay to mock crime victims because those victims don't rate. They aren't romanticized. So what alternative universe do you live in? Sadly, the dangerous one that people like Saki's boss helped create but don't see. It's a place where women are pushed to their deaths, teens are murdered, businesses are ransacked until they close, and elderly Asians are beaten unconscious. The media spent a year telling us how people that walk through the Capitol are worse than 9/11 while completely ignoring all of that. What an unlucky universe crime victims live in. Because unlike the media, they don't have armed security around the clock. They don't have personal chauffeurs safely taking them to and from work, or an assistant who can run to the store and get them suppositories. Thanks, Gabby. And yet the media claimed to be in danger on January 6th. But no, their universe is secure. They only get scared when they forget the sunscreen at the Hamptons. So what happens when you see bad things with your very own eyes and you point it out and people like Saki laugh at you like they just swallowed an ounce of magic mushrooms? And the media, safe behind their security and anonymity, laugh along like school kids who just heard a knock-knock joke. I guess pretending a massive increase in murders is no big deal is literally the best they can do. And if bad things don't affect them, then they didn't happen at all. But it's a cover-up in plain sight. So we don't notice what caused the crime wave, which is them. Together, the media's disregard for rising crime and the progressive embrace of policies that rewarded the criminal created the crime wave. And now they're covering it up. Now they need to change that narrative. They need to apply their radical politics, almost like an Instagram filter. Sure, this brutal murder of a young girl looks bad, but factor in that cash bail discriminates against the poor, and there's prison overcrowding, which is cruel, and there's COVID in jail. And isn't the suspect really the victim? Did you know he has dyslexia? He's addicted to meth and has gender dysmorphia. He thinks he's a woodland nymph. Frankly, isn't the criminal society itself? Yes, society is the culprit. It's the new way to blame the victim. It's a trick these hacks use to sleep well at night, also heavily medicated so they can't hear the screams. Let's welcome tonight's guest. There are more secrets in his mustache than Area 51. Co-host of The Five, Geraldo Rivera. She's like a home renovation. Messy, loud, and completely plastered. Fox News anchor, Julie Banderas. She's disappointed in more sponsors than the Olympics. Fox News contributor, Kat Tipp. And when he sneezes, Janice Dean reports gusty winds. My massive sidekick in the NWA's World Television Champion, Tyrus. So, Julie, I know you're too busy worrying about being arrested to actually think about crime. But try to concentrate.
Oh.
You know, I know this is hard. Could these, why is the media so far removed from what people are experiencing every day?
I mean, the White House is so far removed from what is experiencing today. I mean, if she actually looked at what's happening, not in just Washington, D.C., but in Maryland, in the state next door, how about that? The highest crime rate increase in the country. And as far as living in an alternate universe, I do realize that marijuana is legal in Washington, D.C. I didn't know that they took gummies at the White House, but maybe that's the alternate universe she's talking about, because the actual reality is that the crime rate in the United States is horrible. Why? Because of these liberal DAs. They are the reason why they are allowing these thugs back onto the streets, the bail reform laws in this country. I hate to be a buzzkill because I usually like to laugh on this show.
Yeah.
And I also find that leaving your sunscreen in the Hamptons is also a crisis.
It is.
But
So
they've
you see
got
both
Dwayne
sides.
Reed's on every other corner here, so I'm good.
Yes. You know what? I would like gummies to be at the White House, and that would explain a lot of Biden's like memory lapses. Is the fact that he's doing gummies. You know, Geraldo, you've been in journalism almost as long as I've been.
As long as you've been alive.
Yes. Do you think that the problem here is that the press is less blue collar than white collar?
Yes.
And if they were blue collar, they would understand, like cops?
I do, and I think that you hit it when you said this doesn't happen where they are, so they don't see it. They don't see that cop's wife, who is the most eloquent witness ever to the job that the cops do and the suffering of ordinary people in working class and poor neighborhoods. But that's the problem. I have nothing against Jen Psaki. I don't know her. She's kind of elegant. There's all those yuppies. I don't know if they even use that expression anymore. Young adult professionals. But there's a side of D.C. where there were 221 murders last year.
Yeah.
So 221 murders, mostly black people killing other black people. So, D.C. is a wonderful place to live if you're Jen Psaki or the similar situation. And I think that's the problem when you say crime, crime, crime. It's funny that Fox, which is the Republican and mostly rural or the other cities, the smaller cities, we're the ones that bring the attention to what's really happening in urban America, where all the Democrats are. Why do they still vote for the people that they vote for when you have this horror and the sons are being killed? And remember when the two cops got killed, what was that? That was a mother being beaten up by a junkie ex-con on probation with a Glock with an extended magazine. So they come to the scene. They want to save the mom who's getting beat up by the junkie son, and they get shot. They get killed. A 22-year-old and 27-year-old. I just said, and we really think this on the Five, that this was the bridge too far. This was it. Those two cops went down, and now there's gonna be a sea shift, and people mocking, the suffering of urban America. Their time has come.
Yes, and I wish that they would be held accountable. Only we're doing that, Kat. I keep playing that video over and over and over again. Do you think part of the reason is the messenger, that it's Fox? And so when we come out and we say something like we've been followed, like Geraldo says, and we've been doing all this crime stuff, that it instinctively makes the people that don't like Fox take the most dumbest stance, which is pro-crime, because they hate us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that obviously Jen Psaki, like any press secretary, your entire job is to just, make the guy you work for look good. That's her job. So you have to say, okay, that's what she's trying to do. But it doesn't really work anymore because polling shows that people are fed up with this. People in, regular life who aren't working at the White House see this all the time. So you kind of can't gaslight people out of it anymore. So even if she is trying to do her job, trying to make Biden look the best that she can make him look, she's going to have to acknowledge this because everybody already knows.
Yeah, it's there. Tyrus, it's like the Democrats want us to be scared of so many things. Like they want us to be scared of climate change. But when you have friends of yours who are mugged, you're not supposed to be frightened.
Yeah, I don't care if it's raining or snowing. If my friends are getting shot in the street, I really don't care what the weather's like. What is difficult for me when I look at this whole situation, first of all, Peppermint Patty's American icon. How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and Psaki, she doesn't talk to the American people, and she talks to her bubble.
Yeah.
Stelter and Lemon, they talk to their bubble because when Lemon and what was that guy's name? Mr. Get After It. I missed that kid. Cuomo, thank you. When they went out to dinner in their bubble, they had a wonderful night.
Yes.
Because that's their life.
Yeah.
4 blocks down, not so wonderful. So when you look at it, they don't see the things we see. So this instance with the 2 young officers being shot, I've compared it to a George Floyd moment. What happened to George Floyd, the entire country, didn't matter what color you were, whatever, was like, that's not right. Those who didn't know, now know. And my hope is that if this becomes Luis Rivera, and he was 20, he was a baby, you know what I'm saying? And he was a man of color. Where are you, Black Lives Matter? Where are you? Because you know what?
Oh my God, yeah.
Why does your uniform take away your skin color? Why does me sitting here talking about being conservative take away my skin color to certain groups? When is someone going to say that it doesn't matter? Those are 2 brothers down, and whether they're brown, but whatever. Where are you guys? Because it's the same thing, and there should be the same outrage. And it shouldn't just be his wife. It should be all of us, and we should be coming together to be like, this cannot stand.
I'll tell you where Black Lives Matter is in Washington, D.C. The Washington, D.C. Black Lives Matter chapter came out and denounced us calling these guys heroes.
Yes, that's true.
That's where
right.
they are.
Yeah.
They're
Because they
denouncing
don't care.
heroes that were going to save a black mother from her son. That's where they are.
Black Lives Matters only matters if
Right.
it works in their agenda and their pocketbook.
Absolutely.
Right, they didn't speak out about any of the 221 murders last year in D.C. Not one, because
Victims
the cop was not involved.
Victims who relied on them to fight for them are still waiting for help.
Yeah, exactly.
While they're buying planes and houses. And it's not just them.
They bought a mansion
It's not just
in Canada.
them. They've joined the same grips as all the other woke, so-called liberal groups that are here to help, but they're not really here to help.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
just virtue signaling.
Help themselves. All right. That was a very
I need a
serious-
shot. Holy crap.
You know what? I'm going to bring in
Do you
some
serve
vodka.
booze on the show?
I'm starting.
I don't know. Maybe.
Come on.
Check your glass.
Jay Leno
That's
did.
Everclear.
No, it's just water.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.